Hey guys, and welcome to this first review of Empire Total War. This game was released in 2011 by Sega, and it is one of the best Total War games that has ever been produced. This game has a lot of options. Right now we're at the main title screen. There is all the main nations that you can play as. There are 4 types of grand campaigns. Those are short campaign, long campaign, prestige victory, and world domination. You can set the difficulty to 4 different types, and we're going to be watching the short beginning intro, which is unique to every nation that you can play as.
Your first priorities as an island nation should be to ensure you have adequate naval defenses in place, as a strong navy is the key to protecting your shores. Beyond that, maintain friendly relations with other Protestant nations, such as the United Provinces, Hanover, Prussia, and Sweden, as the ever-present threats from Catholic France and Spain may require joint action by allies in the near future. In addition to securing your position at home, look to the preservation of your colonies in America and the Caribbean. France and Spain are always interested in expanding their overseas territories, and your colonists will provide easy pickings for less scrupulous nations if left unprotected. There is also much unexploited territory in the Indian subcontinent. Gain a foothold here before your rivals do. The once mighty Mughal Empire is on the verge of falling apart, but it is still important to move swiftly. The up-and-coming Maratha Confederacy is ready to pounce and forge an empire of their own, so allying with them against the Mughals could be a useful strategy. It is especially vital to act in India before the French gain a foothold and begin to work against you as they have in America.
Okay, so that was the beginning intro. It is unique to every nation, so just play the Great Britain one. Now this is showing you the overworld map. There are 3 theaters, the Americas, Europe, and India. You also have 4 trading theaters. You can send trade ships there and get exports. That can provide a nice boost to income. This is a diplomatic tab. This can show you your relations with other nations, and you can request certain things, whether it's peace or trade agreements or alliances. This is the research tab. This game is sort of like Age of Empires. You can research different things. You are also given the option of having gentlemen, which can speed up research rates or steal technology from other nations. Within Empire, you also have the ability to recruit armies, and unlike previous Total Wars, you also have the ability to recruit navies. A lot more than you could with something like Medieval 2. There's also different types of resources buildings, and within Empire, there's 2 types of region capitals. Those are mainly economic or military based. As with economic base, you earn more, but you can't recruit military units. With the military, you don't earn as much, but you can recruit a lot more military type units. You also have 3 different types of docks. Those are fisheries, which help with population growth, export or trading posts, which helps with economic development, and shipyards, which helps with recruiting warships. That is the building browser. Just shows you a list of everything that is being constructed. This is a list which shows you where all your fleets, armies, and agents are. It's very helpful. Within Empire, there's also the ability to control taxes. You can auto-manage different types of things. You can even exempt certain regions from taxes by clicking on the button. That's the region capital tab. It shows you happiness as well as growth and population. That's the minister tab that provides different perks to your regions and capitals. And that is the trade tab. Trade accounts for almost 50% of the income you earn, so it's very important. Okay, so now we're at the main battle screen.
There are many types of battles and conditions. They can influence by weather or time of day, fog, rain, and all those can influence the outcome of the battle. Empire is really dynamic in that regard. I mean, there are a lot of things that can affect your battles and how you react to certain things. You have the choice of cavalry, artillery, and infantry. One sour point with the battle is that sometimes the AI can be a little brainless. You saw a second ago a cavalry unit charged and one of my artillery units, and they just got decimated, and that really can break the overall feel of the game. But other than that, it can be really challenging depending on what you do and how you work it. One of the main strategies is that most of the time you'll be using line infantry. Those are the main staples. You may use other troops such as light infantry. There are a lot of different strategies and ways you can use them, and that's really the main backbone of the Empire Total War series. Another thing that is unique about Empire is, and all the Total War games, is that as units fight and they sustain losses, their morale will begin to decline. If it gets low enough, they'll actually break and just start to run. They won't be able to fire or do anything like that. You can win a battle by either routing all the units or by decimating armies. More often than not, you'll just rout the units and they'll just run off. That is pretty unique, and it can be challenging. There are some units such as light infantry which don't have high morale. I mean, they can be useful, but other units like line infantry, the heavy cavalry, those can have higher morale. There are some units which are vulnerable, and if they're attacked and they lose, I think 60% of their men, they'll start to waver and then rout. So whenever you do a battle, it's important to make sure that your units are well supported, make sure that your artillery is protected, and things like that. And that's really one of the fun parts of Empire, is that part of the game. Okay, in previous Total War games, they didn't have this type of naval combat, and in Empire, they actually do. And it can be real fun. One of the main criticisms that a lot of gamers of the Empire and Total War series have is the auto lock feature is just completely useless. And part of the reason is the ships react rather than actually acting. They don't try to cut off, they don't try to do anything. Enemy ship moves and they will actually just start moving, and it can actually just jerk around, and it's just easier just to guide them yourself and try to work them that way other than doing it that way. So not real of a deal breaker, but it's still a criticism nonetheless. And like in land battles, units do have morale as the ship begins to take damage, depending on the kind of ship it is. Some ships can take more damage than others, so lighter ships obviously will not be able to last as long as heavier ships. They can be used effectively, but they should never be at the front of any type of attack or anything like that. So naval combat can be really fun. After the combat is finished, you have the choice of plundering any ships that you capture, and that can be a nice boost to your income through the campaign map. And for really good players, they can earn a good bit of money off of that. Within the naval combat, you have the choice of round shot, grape shot, or chain shot. More often than not, I'll use the grape and chain shot. Or the round and chain shot. I don't use the grape shot as much, but that's just me. You also have the choice of broadside right and broadside left. That just gives you an extra measure of control over how the guns fire. Otherwise, as the ships pass within your line of sight, they'll actually begin to fire, which is shown by the triangle-shaped things coming off of each ship. You also have the choice to, as in land battles, group your ships together, which makes it a lot easier to manage them, and it just makes it real easy. You also have the choice to increase sail, which allows you to go faster, or decrease sail, which allows you to go slower, or drop anchor, which allows you just to stop automatically. As didn't touch on this before, but Empire and all the Total War series have a leader or a general. The general allows a nice morale boost. Your men will keep fighting if the general is near, a lot longer than they would if he wasn't close. The general also has a special rally call, and there's also an admiral, which is the naval counterpart to the general. And you don't want to lose the general because his loss will be a very negative morale boost. Okay, so now we're moving into the final part of this review. This is a siege battle with the Star Fort, which is the best defensive fort in the game, more so than any other types of fort. Whenever you siege a city that has walls, you'll have to fight a siege battle. Or there's also options to construct forts on the main campaign map. Unfortunately, siege battles can be a little they're just not as fun as the main land type of battles, mainly because it can become a pain, because as the soldiers advance onto the walls, they'll actually throw grappling hooks onto the walls rather than actually break through them like they did in previous Total War games. This can mean that you'll lose a lot of men because they're trying to fight the men on the walls. Even if you do break through with your cannons, it's still more of a pain to actually fight them. So it's more often than not better to wait a turn, which will make the enemy either fight you or surrender, and they'll actually come out of the fort. And that's accurate, I guess, but with doing it this way is just much more of a pain. The men, as they scale the walls, sometimes they'll actually begin to climb down the ropes if you order them to attack another unit, which just makes it more or less another pain, because you have to keep watching them and make sure they don't actually do that. But like in the land battles, you can win either by routing troops or by holding the central square of the plaza, which is within the walls where the horses are right now. We can barely see them, but that's the main way to, and probably the easier way to win the battle, is to hold that square. So I hope you guys enjoyed seeing this. I'm not going to play the entire battle, but this is the first review of the Empire series. All in all, it's a very good series and a very fun game to play. It can be very addicting and very long depending on the battle that you choose. But other than that, other than those criticisms that I mentioned, it's actually very fun. Okay, so that concludes the review. In terms of ratings, I would say this game ranks at least a 9 out of 10. So it's well worth it. If you guys want to play it, I would wholeheartedly recommend it. So join me next week and I'll review Napoleon Total War, which is the game after this one. It's more of like an add-on, but it's actually a separate game altogether. And that's it. Thank you for joining me, and have a good day.